Hello and welcome to Beyond the Plate with Carol, where we will explore food and a little beyond. So come along with me on this journey and see what we uncover. Welcome back to Beyond the Plate with Carol, the show that celebrates food, community, and the stories that bring us together. Today, I am thrilled to welcome Fred Marple, the alter ego of author and performer Ken Sheldon. Fred hails from the entirely lovable fictional New Hampshire town of Frost Heaves, where the roads are bumpy, the humor is dry, and the stories feel as real as your favorite neighbor. He's written 2 books. He performs music. Actually, he has written more than 2 books, and we'll talk about that. He performs music, and you can even hire him to bring his show to your town. We'll talk about small town life, New England humor, and what makes Frost Heaves feel so familiar to so many of us. So welcome, Fred.
It's lovely to be here again, Carol. Thank you so much for inviting me back.
Yes, I was so excited.
You're a very forgiving woman to have me back.
Oh, stop. No, you're so fun. I came across something and I'm like, I got to call Fred again.
It's been a while.
It has. How long has it been? It's been
a few years since way back
10
before
years.
the pandemic. So it's been a while.
It has. It definitely has. Well, here you are.
Wonderful.
And this is all awesome. So thank you for coming. And guest, you're going to be in for a treat here. This is going to be fun. I know it. All right. Let's hear the origin story of Frost Heaves.
Frost Heaves? Well, let's see. Here's the story my friend Ken.
Like, when did Fred Marple show up in your life?
Well, here's the story that Ken tells. His father was working at a church camp in Jaffrey, New Hampshire. You know, the kind of place where people go for retreats and things. Mm-hmm. So this lady from away was there for a retreat. She comes into the office and she sees Ken's dad. And she says to him, you know, can I ask you a question? On the way here, I kept passing these signs that said Frost Heaves. Where is the town of Frost Heaves? He was laughing so hard, and that became his favorite story, which he told to Ken. And so Ken started telling stories in the town of Frost Heaves. And then a few years later, when he was writing stories about Frost Heaves, his wife says to him, you know, you should do a show. Because you acted at the Peterborough Players Theater. You got all these musician friends. You should do a show. And Ken thought, well, that'd be a decent idea, you know, and we'll try it and see if it works. Well, it did work for 8 years. And it was called Frost Heaves. And he asked me if I would be kind of the MC of the show and go on and tell some of my stories. And that's how it started.
Wow. I'm sure you've told me that story, but I didn't remember it like that. But all right. So what is happening in Frost Heaves at the moment? I mean, how is it going?
It was raining today, of course.
It's a dreary day today, yes.
Really. Well, we just had a town festival. You know, I am a member of an organization called the Frost Heaves Regional Economic Development Council, or the Fred Council. My name is Fred Marple. And our goal is to try to put the town of Frost Heaves back on the map. It fell off the map back in 1938 when the great hurricane, you know, blew through town, and it fell off the map. So we've been trying desperately to put Frost Heaves back on the map, which is why I do these shows and these talks and write these books. So far, we have had limited success. This is government talk for absolute failure. But we're soldiering on. So we have meetings of the Fred Council to kind of come up with ideas. And one time, Walter Dunton, he runs the Frost Heaves House of Pizza.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's where they serve that special, the New England baked bean pizza. That's my favorite. But you got to be careful, you know, you don't want to smoke in bed after you. Anyway, Walter Dunton says, you know, we need a festival. And you'll appreciate this because this is a food-oriented story. You know, towns have like a strawberry festival or a pumpkin festival or a zucchini festival. He says, we need something like that. We thought, well, that's a good idea. The problem was, Carol, all the good ones was already took. Strawberry festival, pumpkin festival. And so we thought, so that's how we come up with the annual Hay Festival.
Oh, my God.
Now, right away, we had a problem because, you know, you have a strawberry festival, you have strawberry shortcake, strawberry ice cream, pumpkin festival, you have pumpkin pie, pumpkin bread, even zucchini festival.
What are you going to do with hay?
Well, you know, it turns out there are not that many good recipes that involve hay. unless you're a horse, I guess, But we did it anyway, and so every year we have a parade, and we pick a Miss Hay Bale, and in the past, that has been usually one of the younger ladies in town. Last year, it was Jessica Wilmot, and she was a lovely young girl, except in the middle of the parade float when she realized she was actually allergic to hay. And I wish she probably wished she hadn't worn that skimpy two-piece bathing suit.
I bet.
Well, this year, again, it's the Miss Hay Bale contest. So somebody nominated Viola Eldridge. Now, Viola is 82, but she's never married. So technically she is a miss, And just because they thought they were being funny, Viola, she's this type of person. She said, "You know what? I'm going to do it." So she ran, and she got elected Miss Hay Bale, and it was just wonderful. And that allows her to go on to the state or the county-wide pageant coming up in the spring. Except she's got a hip replacement being scheduled, so we're not sure she's going to be able to enter that.
Right.
But, yeah, so that, and the other thing about the Hay Festival every year, you know how they have out in the Midwest, they have they have winter carnivals, and they would build an ice palace.
Yeah.
So we thought, we could build a hay palace. The problem is the farmers in Frost Heaves are kind of cheap. We didn't get that much hay. It turned out to be more like a hay garage than a hay palace, And what with the rain we just had, it's going to be kind of smelly. So you want to check that out pretty soon if you get a chance. So that's we had all kinds of activities this summer. So there's been a lot going on.
So what other kind of activities?
Oh, well, we have a community theater group. It's a small group because it's a small town, as you know, Carol. And they have a kind of a pretentious name for themselves. They call themselves the Frost Heaves Artist Repertory Theater.
Ooh,
or
fancy.
For heart. You got to get that H in there. It's important, And every summer in the downtown park, they put on the Fahart in the park, and they do a show. Last year, they did The Sound of Music, and it was kind of a gimmick, because they had done The Sound of Music 40 years ago, and they thought they would reprise it. The gimmick was they had the exact same people playing the same roles. It didn't work out so well. When Liesl sings, "I am 16 going on 17, well, she just signed up for Medicare. So it kind of lost a little something, yeah. This year, they thought they were going to go all out. You know that French musical, Les Miserables, about the French, it's not the French Revolution, but near that time. Well, they thought they were going to do that. Again, it's a small group. So the original has, dozens and dozens of people. I don't know if you've ever seen it, and all kinds of set changes and everything, but they only had 8 people and 2 sets, and they called it Less Miserable.
Less
and
miserable.
It was less miserable. We had a town-wide yard sale. This is the kind of thing where everybody in town participates, but it's just at your own house, whatever. And this year we did something different, because last year what happened was, this year what we're doing is we had signs for people to put out in front of their yard, so that folks could tell which houses was participating in the yard sales and which ones just had the usual junk out in the yard. People from away got confused. There was a lady from Massachusetts, and she offered Millie Tuttle $50 for a broken-down old rocking chair on her porch, and Millie would have took it, except that her husband Millard was asleep in the chair at the time. And he woke up.
Millard.
They had the chair halfway to the car. He woke up. So that was the town-wide yard sale.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, there's always lots of stuff going on.
Now, how many people live in Frost Heaves?
Well, at last count, let's see. No, he's still hanging on. 891.
Oh, okay. I didn't think there was that many.
Yeah, next week it might be 890. I got to check in with him when I get home,
So how do you decide, what belongs to Fred versus Ken?
Hang on. Fred, Ken, get in here. Okay. Well, Fred does the humor. And if I hear a funny story and I think it needs to be told, then I'll kind of file the serial numbers off and use it myself and turn it into a story set in Frost Heaves. I'll give you an example, Carol. I was in the town office paying my taxes. This was in Hancock, New Hampshire, when I lived there. And I'm paying my car registration or something. And on the counter is a map of the town. And I noticed that the lines going around the town border were fairly straight, except on the eastern side, it went down straight, north to south. And then there was like a cutout, and then it continued down. And I said, what is that about? And the town clerk said, well, that was some guy who years ago decided that the taxes in Hancock were too high. And he didn't want to be in Hancock any longer. And so he petitioned the next town over, I guess it was Greenfield, and they accepted. So that his house became part of the town over.
Oh.
But the thing that happened was, like, the town plows, apparently they'd be going down his street, and then they'd get to his property and lift the plow and then put it down. Well, I just thought that was the funniest thing in the world. So that turned into a story, which you will see in my new book, Utter Nonsense, called Up on the Roof, and just set it in the town of Frost Heaves. So that's one example of another story. Let's see, any one of these stories, they all come from, like, stories that people have told me or things that happened or things that had. There's a story, a Christmas story. There's a couple of Christmas stories that relate to my mom. And she one time was in charge of Vacation Bible School. And she asked the kids if their moms would make snacks to bring in for Vacation Bible School. And a kid who was from the poorest family in town raised his hand and said, me. And she tried to ignore him because she knew that they couldn't afford to bring in cookies. But he didn't give up and finally said, okay, I've got to let him do it. So he comes in the next time and he brings these cookies. And she says, she sees him in the plate. She says, well, thank you very much. He said, yeah, I made them myself and I never made cookies before. They were the worst things. Mom had one of the worst things, but she ate it, And so I just turned it into a Frost Heaves story. And you'll see that in the book.
So when you say turn it into a Frost Heaves story, explain that.
Well, I just make it a different character. So instead of my mom, it became Bertha Tompkins, my English teacher, Fred's English teacher. And and it's a touching story. It's funny about, and you'll appreciate this, Carol, I think, that on the one hand, there's a lot of humor, but also there's a lot of humanity and who we are and how we try to take care of each other. And even when things are looking bad or grim, whatever, sometimes the light shines through. And that's kind of been my goal. Make people laugh, let the light shine through.
My husband's got the book. Good.
Howdy.
Thank you. Love it. I got one of Fred's books and I forgot it this morning and because I wanted him to sign it. So my husband just brought that in. So that's great. So the stories that are in there are true stories. And then you put it into Frost Heaves, change the characters and put it into Frost Heaves. Now, you said that character was your teacher. So do all the characters, are they like a real person that you...
I have lived in a lot of small towns growing up. I was born in Beverly, Massachusetts. We lived in Kittery, Maine. We lived in northern Vermont. We lived just outside of Albany, New York, in a very small town. We lived down in Fairfield County, Connecticut, before moving up to the Monadnock region. So I would say that Frost Heaves is all the small towns that I've lived in. And a lot of the characters that I knew, the names changed to protect the guilty. But so the stories, they get often whatever the idea was, that'll just be the germ. And so sometimes it gets shifted around a little. I'm just looking at the table of contents here to see if I can give you an example of, there's one called Of Mice and Martin here. And it's about a guy from away who moves to Frost Heaves and he's dealing with a mouse problem. And it is me. When I moved into an old house in Hancock, and we had a mouse infestation. And I had originally set out one of the regular old traps, and my wife found it in the morning, occupied and chagrined, and gave me instructions to go get don't kill them, have a heart type things, So I did, and I got one the next day, and I went out and took it to the end of the driveway and dumped it out. Well, I'm pretty sure that same mouse was back the next morning. He thought this was like an amusement park ride. The other mice are lined up. It's my turn. Let me go down. Because they're not stupid. They just come right back into the house, So I took that silliness and I turned it into a guy in Frost Heaves.
Okay. All right. Okay. I like that. I like that. So can we switch you back to Fred Marple?
Hang on. Fred. Okay. Carol wants to talk to you again. I'm done. Hang on. Yes, Carol. Back with you, dear.
I want to know, on Frost Heaves, it has 891, well, so far. Hopefully it's not 890. Hopefully it is still 891.
I'll check when
there we go. Let me know. You must go out to eat. Talk to me about the restaurants in Frost Heaves.
Well, there's only really two places in Frost Heaves. One is the Frost Heaves House of Pizza. Walter
you said that.
I already told you about.
Right.
And Walt, he does, he has the usual things, but he does specialty things too. Like every November, he has a special, and he advertises it having 4 kinds of meat, all the vegetables, a homemade sauce on a homemade crust at a bargain price. When you get it, it's just a thin crust with a little bit of sauce on it. He calls that the campaign promise pizza. He sells a lot of those. Yeah. So. Right now, he's got something called the fall foliage pizza. It's a pizza, and it's just got green peppers on it. He brings it to the table, and while you're eating, he sprinkles red, orange, and yellow peppers on it.
Oh, my God.
It's the fall foliage pizza.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Well, let's see. And then other than that, there's the Bluebell Diner, your classic. Every small town has got the diner, or that place where everybody goes for breakfast, And the Bluebell Diner, their motto is good gravy. Because everything comes with gravy. You get turkey, it'll be kind of a tan-colored gravy. You get meatloaf, it'll be a brown gravy. You get pasta, it'll be a red gravy sauce. And it don't really matter which one you get because they all taste pretty much the same. It's just the color that's different, Some people go to the diner for coffee, but I would not recommend it if you have not worked up a tolerance. Because that coffee has been sitting. Now, you run restaurants, so you know what I'm talking about. You got to be careful with the coffee. That coffee at the Bluebell Diner has been sitting there since the Coolidge administration. In a pinch, you could use it as paint stripper.
Yeah, it's probably a little
that
thick.
Old desk, like that. Once a year, they clean the pot, and the locals complain because they say it just hasn't got the same bite as it usually has, So then the only other place in town is there is right on Main Street of Frost Heaves, there's the Peabody Inn. And it's, again, small town, you drive through almost as often an old inn. And these places are often just elegant, country inns. The Peabody Inn is not. It was built in 1783, and it has not been upgraded since then because the Peabodys are notoriously cheap. The last big innovation there was when they put in one of them rotary dial telephones,
Oh, yeah.
So, and it looks a little bit like, did you ever see that movie, The Shining, Stephen King? You could have filmed it at the Peabody, Anyway, there's a tavern there, and if you're a mind to go out and have an adult beverage, that's about the only place in Frost Heaves to do it.
Okay.
And Elwood Peabody, who runs it, he is trying to get folks my age, not youngsters like you, my age, seniors, to go out for drinks. It's mostly, young people. They like to go out for drinks, but he's trying to get seniors to go out. So he's come up with some new drinks. My favorite is called Pertussin and Coke. Very tasty. He's got,
I bet.
He's got another one. He takes a shot of peppermint schnapps, and then he dissolves a Tums tablet, and that's called the Pepto-Bismarck. Right now, he's got something, it's an autumn drink. It's called the Jack-o'-lantern. It's got apple cider vinegar and a schnapps and Kahlua, And he calls that the jack-o'-lantern because when you drink it, you feel warm inside and your eyes start to glow.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. This episode is powered by Red Arrow Diner. All 4 locations, officially open around the clock. Swing by Manchester, Nashua, Concord, or Londonderry whenever hunger hits. From pancakes at 2 a.m. to fries and gravy for breakfast, we've got your cravings covered. Red Arrow, New Hampshire's favorite 24-hour diner tradition. So does the Peabody Inn, do they get guests?
They do, yes. Again, it's an old place and has not been fixed up.
Sounds kind of yucky.
Well, it's not bad if you need a place to stay. But here's the thing, Carol. They do not have TVs in the room. You go to your modern hotel, whatever, and they got a TV that's the size of a garage door there.
Yep.
But no, and it don't matter because we do not get TV reception in Frost Heaves.
Oh.
There's TV stations from Boston and Concord. They just hit the mountain and they just give up. You can't, So although I have to say, if you're desperate to watch TV, they will wheel in on a cart a television set, and it's hooked up to the local cable access, which is hooked up to the security camera at the Quickie Mart on the highway. Yes, sir. And so, you could watch it and see who comes in to buy a lottery ticket or Slim.
I bet it's pretty interesting.
Slim Jim. Well, if you're from away, you might not find it that interesting. I turn it off myself after 2-3 hours every night.
I love when you just said, I got a memory when you said they wheel in the TV on the cart. That brings me back to school.
Yeah.
Remember when they used to wheel in like a TV on a cart?
For the audio visuals.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And that guy with the 1960s suit would say, today we will be discussing the life cycle of the newt. Or something like that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And we was asleep 5 minutes into it.
Totally. Oh, my gosh. Okay, so before Fred leaves again.
Yes, sir.
What else do you want us to know about Frost Heaves? What am I missing?
Well, again, it's a lovely town. It's hard. Our town motto is "You can't get there from here," so don't be surprised if you have a hard time finding it.
You mean it's not on Google Maps?
Well, no. As I say, it fell off the map.
Right, it fell off.
I should talk to them about that.
I think you should.
Try to get it back on, but. No, I am just continuing to go around again. I have my new book here, and I'm going to be up in Jackson, New Hampshire this week, and then doing a lot of library readings for the new book. And then, I got to say, this is a big one. December 12th, my friend Rebecca Rule and I don't know if you know Becky, she's on New Hampshire Public Television. She does this TV show called Our Hometown. She and I are doing a show at the Park Theater in Jaffrey. And it's called A Yankee Christmas. That's December 12th. So that's a big deal. We're pretty excited about that. Becky, she's just a lovely person. She's a dear friend, and we kind of trade off Yankee stories and sing some songs and stuff. So
walk me through a show.
A show?
So I guess I was going to talk to Ken about that, but it would be Fred.
Yeah,
continue.
Yeah. Well,
what can people expect? If someone, because on your website, and you have quite a few, so why don't you let people know how they can find you?
My website is called frostheaves.com. So if you want to keep up with what's going on, you go to frostheaves.com. Ken has his own website called kensheldon.com, easy to remember. And there he talks about his books and his music and his plays and all the various things that he is doing. And he also has my stuff on his calendar because he's a nice guy. But if you want to keep up with what I'm doing, frostheaves.com. The show my individual show that I do a couple of different ones. I do one called Welcome to Frost Heaves, and I just talk about the town of Frost Heaves, and we sing some songs, and we have fun. That's the one I'm doing at Jackson this week. But I have another one called A Guide to New England for Locals and People from Away. And it's a presentation complete with PowerPoint illustrations about life in New England, like owning an old house, and the fact that as Yankees, we like to keep stuff. We have a lot of stuff, and the things that we eat, you'd appreciate that. There's a whole talk about the things that Yankees eat, like baked beans and maple syrup and ice cream and chowder,
Chowder.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. And so that's two shows that I do. The show that Becky and I do together is She Will Tell a Story. And then I will tell a story, and then we'll sing a song. And then she'll tell another story, and I'll tell a story and sing a song. And sometimes we do little sketches together, And then we have prizes. We always give out prizes, including usually a genuine item from the Frost Heaves swap shop.
Oh,
You know what the swap shop is, Carol?
No.
That's the place, I bet your listeners do, they live in a small town. That's at the dump, and it's the place where you go to drop off stuff that you don't need any longer, but it's still pretty good,
Okay.
Frost Heaves is a small town. You'd think we don't do much in the way of recycling, but we do. The way it works is we go to the dump, we drop off our stuff, and then we look around to see what might be good, bring home with us. But we also have the swap shop, and this is just filled with dishware and appliances and stuff. It's great to go right after Christmas because that's where people drop off the things that they didn't really want.
Right.
And I do all my Christmas shopping there because the price is right, But anyway, how did I get distracted? This is what happens, Carol. I get off on a tangent.
It's okay. I love it.
I can't find my way back. But so Becky and I will talk. Oh, we'll give prizes out, including copies of our books and my 2 CDs. One is called Krabby Road. Sounds familiar. That's mostly funny songs. Another one called My Mountain, which is songs about Mount Manette, folk tunes, serious tunes. Anyway, and we will also give away a genuine item from the Frost Heaves swap shop with a certificate of authenticity.
Ooh.
So that's pretty exciting.
I love that.
So that's the kind. We have a lot of fun. We started doing this about a year or so ago, Becky and I, and we have been up at the Barnstormers Theater in Tamworth. We have been in Concord, a few places, and we're just having a lot of fun doing it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
So you should come check it out. I don't know if you've been at the Park Theater in Jaffrey, but it is beautiful.
And that's the one December 12th.
December 12th.
I'm going to have to.
For your folks who haven't been there, the Park Theater in Jaffrey is a couple years old now, but it's a beautiful, it's an art center, and they have movies, and they have musicians, and they have bands and comedy, and it's a beautiful facility. I've been there several times myself, with the full Frost Heaves show, just by myself, and now with Becky, and I'm looking forward to going back.
Love it. I love it. If you could sit down for dinner, I'm still talking to Fred. If you could sit down for dinner with anyone, past or present, who would that be and why?
My goodness. Anybody past or present that I could sit down for dinner with. Maybe Calvin Coolidge.
Ooh.
Because he was a real Yankee. He was from Vermont. And he was the prototypical taciturn Yankee. There was a story of when he was president, he was sitting at dinner next to a lady, and she had heard that he was a Yankee, didn't talk much. And she turns to him and she says, "I bet I can get you to say more than 2 words." And he looked at her and said, "You lose." Another time, they were at home in Vermont. It was Sunday, and the wife wasn't feeling that good, so she stayed home. He went to church, and he came home afterwards. And she says, "Well, how was church?" He says, "Good." She says, "Well, did the pastor preach?" "Yeah." "Well, what did he preach on?" "Sin." She was hoping to get a little more out of him. She said, "Well, what did he say?" "He was against it." So I don't know if I had dinner with Calvin Coolidge. I'm not sure how much we'd have to say to each other.
I know.
But I'm sure we would enjoy the beans and hot dogs.
I have a feeling you'd get some more words out of him.
Yes, sir. Maybe.
Okay, now I love this part. We do some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
And we're going to keep Fred.
Are we?
Yes,
Okay.
We're going to keep Fred.
All right.
What's your favorite New Hampshire season?
I would say probably it's a toss-up, Carol, between spring and autumn. Because spring, after that long winter, and especially if we get a nice June, there have been some Junes where the sky is blue and the things are popping, and it's like, there is life after winter.
I know, right?
But fall is pretty awesome too.
Yeah, my favorite's fall.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people it is. Yes.
Yeah. Mud season, love it or leave it?
Well, in Frost Heaves, we tried to take advantage of it. We have we tried to turn it into foliage season when people come to see the leaves. We have a mud week in the town of Frost Heaves. I think I talk about that in my new book, Utter Nonsense. And yeah, we have special activities, like we have a mud display in the basement of the History Museum, and with Hiram Jenkins's tire chain that he used to pull people out of the mud. And Homer Andrews, he has a farm north of town. He offers mud facials. And this is mud that has been enriched with contributions from his herd, so it's good for your skin. And yeah, so we're in favor of mud season.
So you like mud season. Okay, yeah. I can understand why. Real maple syrup or whatever's on the table?
You have to ask, Carol. I mean, that's heresy. We do not abide anything less than 100% real maple syrup. And we will put it on anything that calls for maple syrup and quite a few things that don't call for maple syrup. I actually asked... I asked this question recently to friends, and they come back with a lot of vegetables. Somebody said they put it in chili. I said, well, I'll take your word for it on that one. But, ice cream, oh my goodness, yeah. I do
it with my carrots.
The missus and I went up to Quebec recently for a visit. And
so hold on, Fred is married?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Martha Marple. She doesn't admit it to many people, but yeah, he's married. So
who's Ken married to?
She prefers that I keep that a secret.
Okay.
But we went up to Quebec, and they're all about maple syrup up there. And they do this thing called maple pie. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
My
mother makes that.
It's very simple. Just, kind of a pie crust, but inside is like this caramelized stuff. You warm it up, put some ice cream. Oh, my goodness. It's a little bit of heaven. Yes, sir.
Snowblower or shovel?
Oh, I have owned both in my time. I'll be honest. There's a story in my first book about a snowblower festival where the guys had like a synchronized snowblowing team. They would do patterns and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
So, but these days at my age, it's just a shovel and it's just a short walk from me to the driveway. I'll let somebody else do the rest of the work,
Skis or snowshoes?
Oh, well... Back in the day, again, it's been a while, it'd be cross-country skis. Talking about going up to Jackson, they got beautiful trails there. You can ski all around the town and the golf course and behind the country inns and everything like that. So back when I was younger, I was very much into cross-country skiing.
Ooh, okay, okay. What is your most New Hampshire phrase you love to use?
Yeah.
Coffee or tea before a show?
Usually just water. When you're performing, you got to keep the vocal cords limber, Sure. So, probably just water.
Guitar first, joke first, or story first?
I will usually start off with a joke, get people warmed up. Yeah. Get them ready to hear my singing voice, because you don't want to spring that on people right away, Carol. You got to make sure they're on your side before I start singing.
What is your best New Hampshire back road for a Sunday drive?
Oh, my goodness. Well, that's a tough one, because we got a lot of back roads.
We do. A lot of beautiful ones, too.
A lot of beautiful ones in New Hampshire.
I like the ones with the covered bridges.
Yeah. Boy, there's a road between the town of Hancock that goes over to Harrisville, the lake there. Might be Jewel Hill or something, King's Highway, and it winds and winds and goes up and down, and then at various points you opens up and there's Mount Monadnock.
Oh.
That's the thing about Mount Monadnock. If you're anywhere in the neighborhood and you drive around, you're going to see a view of Mount Monadnock, because people invariably will clear so that you can see it. And it's sort of like, it's like your grandfather. It's just always there. You forget about him, but everyone's, oh, there he is.
Then he's... Okay, what is one word that sums up Frost Heaves?
Got to think about that. One word that sums up Frost Heaves. Boy, that's even for a taciturn person, it is hard to summarize. I would say forgiving.
Okay.
Because we have our foibles and we do silly things and we make mistakes, but in the end we forgive each other.
There we go. I love that. That's a great. I love that. Okay, so is there anything else you want to let us know about Frost Heaves before we talk about your two books?
Well, let's see if I missed anything. Well, I would say if you're coming to visit Frost Heaves, here's the thing. Weekday mornings, the men in town, a lot of them meet at the Frost Heaves market to have coffee,
So not at the Bluebell Diner?
Well, again, those who don't go there, or if the counter's full, they'll go to especially the workers, whose guys have got to go out, and they stand around and they think of themselves as a comedy club. They tell jokes and they pick on each other. But at 8 o'clock, they all head off to work. At exactly that time, Fred Whittle, our postmaster, goes by in his station wagon to start his rounds, and the school bus goes by also at 8 o'clock. This results in what we call the downtown rush minute. And it's heck for 60 seconds. So I would say if you're coming to Fred, don't go at 8 o'clock on a weekday morning because you're just going to get caught up in all that,
60 seconds.
Otherwise, just please come to visit us. And if you can't make it to town, come to one of my shows and I'll tell you more than you ever wanted to know about Frost.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk about your books. You have two of them.
Two books. The first one was called Welcome to Frost Heaves. That was the first one. And basically these are the stories that I told at the show, Carol, and then, put into print form. Welcome to Frost Heaves. And then this new one here is called Utter Nonsense, More Tales from Frost Heaves.
I love the name.
And, I actually voted years ago. I put up on that Facebook thing. I don't know if you were on that Facebook thing, but I asked people, I said, what should I call my next book? Should I call it Son of Frost Heaves? Should I call it The Frost Heaves Diet? Or should I, call it Love's Towering Passion of Flame in Frost Heaves? Or should I call it Utter Nonsense? And this was the winner.
I love it.
The voters decided this.
That's good.
So it's all stories. And then in between the stories, you get things like news nuggets. These are items from the local page. Can I read one of them?
Of course.
Dance classes offered. Rhonda LaFleur from the Bait and Beauty Salon is teaching a new exercise class up to the high school. Roomba with Rhonda. Basically, it's folks shaking things that were never meant to be shaken, at least not in this neck of the woods or by people of this age. Right now, the attendees are mostly women, but Rhonda says men are welcome to attend, so the odds are pretty good. Of course, the goods are pretty odd. And then
I love it.
Also we have items from the police log.
Ooh.
If your local paper has the police
yes,
log.
We do.
It's like our favorite. This is what you use to see what your neighbors are up to.
Right.
Folks in town.
Is it pretty busy? I mean, is it the log? Is there quite a bit of...
Well, yeah. I mean, but of course, the crime rate usually involves a loose cow on Main Street or something like that, But people just love to see themselves in the paper, even if it is in the police log. So there's a few items in there in between. And the other thing in this book is, the first book was just kind of general stories, but this one is divided up by seasons. So there's a section called summer, and then there's a section of fall stories and winter stories, and then spring stories.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, okay, let listeners know where they can find you, hire you, buy a book.
I would say start by going to frostheaves.com, and you could send me email to fred@frostheaves.com. That's how you and I have communicated.
Yes.
My books are available through frostheaves.com. They're available online, most of those places where you go to buy books, and also at bookstores. If they may not have it in stock, but if you ask your local bookstore, I'm going to be at Gibson's in Concord. When is that? Coming up next week.
Ooh, good.
I'm pretty excited about that. So
that is
Gibson's,
exciting.
The Toadstool Bookstore in Peterborough, one of my favorite places on earth. So yeah, your local bookstore, if you go and ask for it, they'll be able to get it if they don't have it in stock already.
I love it. Do you want to leave us with any final thoughts or...
Well, Carol, I think it's important to laugh. These are trying times for our country, and we have a lot of people disagreeing about things, but here's where I'm coming from. I may think that the guy that I meet up with on the street is wrong about something, but I don't necessarily think he's evil or bad. I may think he's wrong, but it doesn't mean that we can't still have a conversation. And also, if we can laugh together, that'll make it a whole lot better. So that's kind of what I'm about. It's just trying to give people some laughs, and as I say, let the light shine through just a little bit.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on. This was fantastic.
Carol, thank you so much. This is one of my favorite places to come. I love it.
Thank you. And I think I'm gonna get tickets. I'm gonna talk to my husband. We're gonna come up and see you. I think that would be so fun.
Stop and say hi.
I want something from the swap shop.
Well, you'll get to fill out a little slip and put your name in the thing.
Oh my gosh.
There, and we'll take a selfie with you and I and Becky. That'll be fun.
Fun. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Carol.